I'm really interested in collage and the meaning that emerges when two disparate things are conjoined, or jammed or harmonized or produce dissonance. All the source material and imagery is coming from the outside world and kind of being like channeled through my making, and something different appears.
This story is subtitled. This story is subtitled so you might be able to understand it. This story is subtitled because it was written in his mother's language, which he doesn't understand. In his father's language, which he doesn't understand. This story is subtitled for us, with my voice, and with images, physical images, and sound, and light, and time, and death.
Oftentimes, the material that I'm dealing with for some of my work is pretty heavy, pretty intense, sometimes very personal. And in order to contend with it, I have to have some level of distance. In order to really understand an image or a piece of media or advertisement objectively, you have to meditate on it closely to the point where it almost becomes meaningless or something. And I try to do that in the studio. I think that's a big reason why I do a lot of resampling of my own work. I don't pull from an image and then dash it away and never return to it. I'm constantly meditating on the same set of images, motifs, or symbols in a way that's almost like an artist's muse or something. Certain images, certain photographs, even certain advertisements feel symbolic in some way. I landed on coconut milk for depicting the figures through a process of experimentation. What I realized through experimenting with many different types of milk, that coconut milk burns really rich and deep, and it just feels more bodily the way it burns compared to other milks I experimented with, because what's happening is a chemical reaction. It's completely transforming the material, similar to what happens when we bake cookies or sear a steak. It's called the Maillard reaction. So basically the amino acids and the proteins and the sugars of this material is being completely transformed and reconfigured through the heating process, and that's what creates this browning and these really lovely aromas. So when I'm heating the milk with the heat gun in the studio, there's steam and lovely aromas. But yeah, it's a complex change that happens to the material. I'm interested in advertisements because they have an effect in society, and they also start to leak into our own lived experiences in ways that are, unpredictable and can be very unexpected.
For what? What is it for?
For trading.
You say it is for trading, and what else? Who is our hero?
Our hero is a beggar who receives something and
When we talk about advertisements, I feel like in this conversation, we're talking about them as something separate than the family photograph or something like that. But I think it's really interesting that in this decade, those lines are more blurred than they've really ever been. We're kind of mimicking a visual language that was, produced for mass audiences, because we're now addressing a mass audience, but we're doing it from a very kind of personalized experience. And also, I noticed that all the advertisements that made their way into the paintings deal with time in some way. Time is an element of the language of the text. For example, there's text that reads, "If you weren't spoilt as a child, there's still a chance." There's another one that reads, "No dream is ever too big." And I think that the word "ever" in there kind of imbues it with a sense of temporality. I think the copy could have been It doesn't need that word, but having ever in it kind of changes it. I think with a lot of my work, I'm interested in kind of playing with two different senses of time, like how we measure time in seconds, minutes, hours, days, and how we experience time, which is very fluid and non-linear. I think I'm interested in the loop because it's a haunting of something. It's a ghost that returns in the same orientation, in the same place. You know how we read ghosts or hear ghost stories about ghosts returning, doing the exact same activity each time that they're witnessed or seen. I feel that way about loops. I'm interested in that kind of haunting of media. I'm also really interested in iteration and also dub structure and how through repetition things can lose meaning, but also new meanings can emerge. Oftentimes I reflect on things I've made and I don't even understand how or why I made it. It no longer feels like it's mine. It no longer feels like I'm the author of it. It feels like it's something that just exists in the world. And yeah, I think that's the power of images and media. We assign meaning to things that have nothing to do with us. We decide, what our favorite song is, or our favorite television show, or our favorite soft drink, or something like that. There's some type of ownership over something that it's not intended for the individual at all. And I find that very peculiar and something to kind of mine through and understand.